Okay, so this is the third and final garden update tour for the year. As you can see, I'm showing my lovely pawpaw trees. It's their second year. They're a little small for year two, but I'm excited to see where they grow. Here I have my mint plant. It's going to flower. Haven't really done much with it. I kept it in a pot because it's very aggressive. Here you can see some basil that survived the frost, some Italian parsley that had some swallowtail caterpillars in it. And that's why I don't spray any of my plants. They seem to do just fine without it for the most part, besides my cabbages and brassicas. But I really like seeing the little swallowtail caterpillars. You can also see some of my June-bearing strawberry plants starting to spread. I need to transplant some of those out just to see if experiment with the light and see if they produce more. There's the sweet potatoes that I just harvested in the previous video. My Jerusalem artichokes that were going to flower, some asparagus I was experimenting growing with, my black-eyed Susan plants, just native forbs growing around the tree. Here I have another little small patch of volunteer Jerusalem artichokes I grew in a pot, and those are the Eoclippe morados that did not do great, but I still got a few small pods. Now I want to try to grow them again next year and just see what happens. I think they have a lot of potential. Here you can see some of the oats and pea, a little mixed cover crop mix I did for my corn plot. It's oats, field pea, sweet sugar beet, and daikon radish. Here's a pumpkin that started growing late season. It did end up falling off the vine after a freeze, so I was kind of sad about that. It didn't make any seeds for me, but I still have another one on the vine and behind the pampas grass. Unfortunately, I kept having a lot of fruit that would die on the vine. I don't know why, but I hope to grow some more next year and save some seed. A little honeybee pollinating. I really struggled with that variety of pumpkin this year and did not like my three sister setup. Some marigolds. Can't remember what variety. They kind of crossed with some stuff that I had last year, so it's my own variety now. The cayenne pepper. Don't remember what type either. I think it's long. You can see a few small ones. Some of my hybrid blueberry plants. Don't ask me what variety I grew here. It's just some I bought from Tractor Supply. It's my birdhouse gourds. These were a last minute grow. I also can see my Mennonite sorghum that I was growing for seed. Next year I plan on pressing it out and making the syrup. As you can tell, the bottle gourds kind of took over. They're growing all over. Here's the brassicas that I mentioned earlier getting completely devastated by cabbage worm. I've been spraying them, but every time it rains or if I get water on the leaves, it rinses off. So next year I'm going to try to put insect netting over it. And some carrots and some tomatoes growing. All these are gone now after the frost. I harvested all the tomatoes. It's just the carrots that stand. You can see some of the butter crunch lettuce, some tomatillos. I really struggled with tomatillos. The lettuce was still bitter too. It did not like that heat. It's starting to bolt. It was pretty much unedible. Here's a sugar bee I experimented planting. It seemed to do really well, unaffected by any frost. Hopefully I can get some seeds from it. I have some volunteer onions. See me pull a little bit of Bermuda grass. Always a never-ending battle. Some daikon radish. And that was an okra that I let grow out too old to be too woody. Some more tomatoes and tomatillos. I planted these a little bit too close. I always underestimate how big these plants get. Here's some green onions that kind of volunteered and are just growing around. Some of my zapotek peppers. Some basil going to seed in the back. A few small carrots. I really enjoyed growing the zapotek peppers though. I think they did really good. Didn't feed them at all. Here's some brassicas growing. I hope to put some strawberries or something over here since this area gets a lot of shade. Here are some radish and sugar beet and sweet potatoes that I had grown out here. There was some cabbage in the back, but it didn't do too great. I think it didn't get enough sunlight. More Jerusalem artichokes. They did not like that black plastic. It constantly dried out even with the mulch and got too hot. So I'm gonna try to transplant that to a fabric pot next summer. And here's some asparagus I grew from seed. A lot of the stuff I've transplanted over here died, so I definitely will need to replant it in the spring.